Today, we're introducing abstract exports, a new way to get exactly the data that you need out of your abstracts. In any abstract, you have an extensive list of provisions, but a lot of it doesn't apply to every scenario. Maybe a client only wants to see the rent and term duration. Or perhaps you're transferring a property or handing work off to another team and they only need specific pieces of information. In this video, I'll show you how abstract exports solve that problem. Right now, I'm inside the abstract view. I'll move up to the header and click on the export button. A dialog appears where we can select our layout, file format, and settings. For this run, I'm going to leave it on full abstract so that it pulls everything in and select PDF. I'll keep the default settings and click Download Export. Here's our generated output. At the top, you'll see your company logo along with the tenant name we exported. Below that, the data is laid out just like the abstract page, completed with charts, comments, and direct links back to the source documents. Now, let's imagine you just finished abstracting a lease and want to create a targeted export that only includes the term and base rent table. From the sidebar, click on the Abstract Exports. You'll land on the main export form, but for now, let's navigate over to the Layouts page. Layouts define exactly what data is included in an export. First, select a tenant or property to pull its associated fields. We'll name this Term and Rent, and start on the left panel, where we'll pick our provisions. I'm going to search for term, and let's select term duration in months. And then I'll search for rent and select the base rent. As you select items, they'll instantly become available in the editor on the right. Here, you have full control. You can remove data points, reorder the fields, rename things. Let's rename base rent to rent charts and tweak the order a little bit. Now let's move back to the export page. From here, I'm going to pick the custom layout that we just created and then select our tenant. We'll choose PDF again and leave the default settings. Okay, hitting export, it'll download for a moment. Perfect. As you can see, this PDF includes only the specific provisions that we picked, complete with our updated naming and ordering. Going back to DealSumm, I'll click on the pencil to jump to the editor. I realize I also want the delivery date and execution date. So I'll select those. And let's move these above the term. Note that DealSumm autosaves all your changes, and you can see the save status in the header. Okay, I'd also like to adjust the language in the export. To do this, you have a couple of options, but for now, let's jump to the Narrative tab from the side. Here you'll see every provision you've picked that also have languages, with toggles for the lease language or AI summary. You can pick whatever combination you like. Here I'm going to remove everything but the AI summary for the rent chart. Okay, now let's get back to the export page again and select term and rent, and then also the same tenant as before. This time I'm going to choose to export it as a Word file. So let's download that. Here we can see the adjustments we made. Okay, so that's the basics. I hope that you can see how this feature will help improve your ability to pull specific data out of abstracts and then share that. Feel free to stick around for some more details. I'm going to show you the power of settings, export history, tips for dealing with large layouts, and some organization features. First, let's talk about settings. In the export page, click on the settings button, which will open up a panel. And from here, you can hide provisions with no value, which is very helpful if you're exporting something that has not been reviewed yet. We can toggle comments and control document references if you don't want links back to DealSumm. You can also disable silence. Here, we also have the choice to override the narrative. So for example, if I want no narrative despite what I picked in the layout, I can do that. Or maybe I just want AI summaries. All right, since we're in the export page, I'll share a quick tip about looking for a tenant. Here you can search for a property. And clicking on one will show you all of its related tenants. This is helpful if you maybe forget a tenant's name. Okay, now our export has gone through a lot of changes. And it turns out the first one that we did earlier was supposed to be an Excel file. So I could go and recreate that old version, but to solve this and provide visibility into who's exporting what, we built history. History allows you to see a timeline of exports for any given tenant. Let's start by clicking on history in the sidebar and then selecting the tenant. Here we can see all the exports that we did, when we did them, what format they were run in. Let's select the first export and then change the format to Excel and download it again. History captures the state of the abstract at the time of export. So if changes were made to the abstract, it'll be reflected here. If you want to quickly run the same export, you can click on Export Again, which will run the export over today's data instead. Note that all settings applied at export time also impact this. Okay, now let's look at a more complicated layout. I'll create a new one, and this time I'll start by selecting all provisions. I'll confirm, and in the pick list, I'm going to remove some of these dividers. And let's also bulk select some of these provisions and bulk delete them. Okay, now for all the remaining provisions under this divider, I want to remove all the languages. So I can drag to select the area and then use the buttons at the bottom to disable them. All right, let's see. I'm going to rename this one. And oops, I made a typo. No worries. I can simply click Control Z or the button in the header to undo my last change. Okay, let's go back and look at the layouts page again. Once your team's built a couple of these, managing them can be a little challenging, so we built categories to help you organize things. Let's create a category, give it an icon and a color. Perfect. And let's do one more. All right, now I can drag layouts into these categories and then reorder the categories to keep everything nice and tidy. Okay, that's all. We hope this feature helps make getting data out of DealSumm easier and more flexible. As always, we're here to help answer any questions. Thank you.